Hey, what's going on? Jeff Ratcliffe here. You know, at Pro Football Focus, we love unique stats, and I have a very good one here for you for the running back position. You want to decipher why some running backs perform better on a per carry basis than others, and obviously that means something for fantasy, right? More yards, more points. Well, I have the stat for you that's running backs versus different defenses. So essentially, are they going against a base defense or a sub-package defense? And if you're not familiar with that term, sub-package just means there's extra defensive backs on the field, right? Nickel, 5 defensive backs, dime, 6 defensive backs, right? Why does this matter? Well, against base defense last year, running backs averaged 4.2 yards per carry. So if they're going against a normal 3-4 or 4-3, 4.2 yards per carry. Against nickel, with that one extra defensive back on the field, 4.6 yards per carry. Against dime, with 2 extra defensive backs on the field, 5.6 yards per carry. Okay, now we're starting to get somewhere, right? The players who are going to face more of these sub-package defenses have an advantage. Running backs have an advantage when there are extra defensive backs on the field. So which players saw the most of that last year? And you know, we'll look at the top 10 running backs in terms of carries to see what we can see here in terms of differences. Who's facing more base and who's facing more sub-package. And on this list, it should stick out like a sore thumb. Todd Gurley saw sub-package defenses on 80% of his carries. You want to know the difference between Todd Gurley in 2016 and Todd Gurley in 2017? In 2016, Todd Gurley and Jeff Fisher's offense faced nothing but base defense. It was almost all base defense. Last year, it was the exact opposite in Sean McVay's offense. Now, part of this, running more 3 wide, part of this, playing from the lead. I mean, there's a bunch of things, but Sean McVay deserves a lot of credit here for Todd Gurley's bounce back year. Todd Gurley had a clear advantage. So did Le'Veon Bell. It's not as big of a split as Gurley had, but sub-package on 60% of his carries. Kareem Hunt, 62%. So both of those guys are up there. Incidentally, Alvin Kamara not on the list because he didn't make the cutoff in terms of rushing attempts, but Kamara was up there at 77%. So also had a big advantage. Now we see it on the flip side as well. Those facing higher percentages of base defense. Leonard Fournette leads this list. Leonard Fournette did not average over 4 yards per carry. Now that's not a knock on him. He had tougher sledding. He was facing tougher defensive opponents essentially because he didn't have the advantage of having that extra defensive back on the field to run against. So, you know, it's not a huge knock on him, but it is something we need to consider here. You see a bunch of these guys sort of in the middle. You know, Zeke, for example, last year Ezekiel Elliott, 51-49. But I do have to talk about Ezekiel Elliott. That was on a team where they had Dez Bryant and they had Jason Witten, you know, the 2 mainstays for that team in terms of targets at the receiver position and tight end position. They don't have those guys this year. Now, I'm excited about Michael Gallup as a rookie, but there really isn't anybody who necessarily is going to step right into Dez's shoes. And there's nobody, you know, Blake Jarwin is not going to become Jason Witten 2.0 in 2018. So Ezekiel Elliott could see a higher percentage of base defense, unfortunately. Now, that's not to say don't draft Ezekiel Elliott. This is more of an upside thing. If you want to look at guys who have higher weekly upside, you're going to look at the guys who are going to face more sub-package defense than base defense. So that's the one thing. I'm not moving Ezekiel Elliott down on my draft boards or anything like that. Still a top 4 or even top 3 fantasy pick in almost every league out there without keepers. But the upside might be a little bit limited. Teams are going to be able to stack the box against him. Teams are going to do the same thing very likely to Leonard Fournette. You know, it's no coincidence, by the way, that the Jaguars went out and drafted a field stretcher in DJ Chark because that will lessen some of the impact here on the run game, but I don't think that's going to have much of an impact here in 2018. So a lot of base defense for Fournette and Elliott. I still expect Kamara, Bell, Gurley to see a lot of sub-package. That means a lot of upside from those guys. Which running back do you think sees the highest percentage of sub-package defense this year? Is it Todd Gurley or is it somebody else? Let us know in the comments below, and of course subscribe to the channel for more fantasy videos. And go check out stats like this and many others, our signature stats over at ProFootballFocus.com.